Brighton Beach Busking presents
Samuel, Jake, Josh, Liv, Ian, Evan.
the Busking Break.
Thank you for having me.
How are you?
Very good, thank you.
Oh, nice.
The show where we interview your favourite Brighton Beach Buskers, finding out the stories behind the musicians that sound our streets.
I try everything to a very average level.
Music is, I mean, if it had been the Olympics, it would have been a gold medal.
Make sure to subscribe and hit that notifications bell so you do not miss an episode. So come with us and be part of this journey. Hello and welcome to the Busking Break here at the Works Pier. Today we spoke to the Irishman Evan Walsh. It was an incredible conversation. I hope you enjoy. Evan,
Yo,
welcome to the Busking Break.
happy to be here, man.
Good, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, well rested. I got some sleep last night, which is very nice.
A rare
Yeah. I didn't wake up once. It's brilliant.
Brilliant. So you're a guitar player, bass player, drummer, bit of ukulele, punk folk singer.
Yeah, that's fair.
How did your journey as a musician begin? Why did it begin? And what's the journey been like to get here?
Well, that's a good question. I kind of started. I think I started most of it like my dad, like just driving around with my dad. My dad had this really like bashed up Fiat Punto when we were kids, but my godfather Paul Ward, who in another life like should have been a DJ. He has the most incredible taste in music. Do you know what I mean? Used to always like make my dad. It's like my dad's best friend. Used to make these incredible like mixtapes. Do you know what I mean? So when I was like 10, 11, we'd be listening to like, you know, other kids are listening to like, I don't know, like crappy like dance music or like watered down hip hop, and like my dad would have like, we used to listen to like the Bends by Radiohead, we listened to like Grace by Jeff Buckley. My dad loved like Tin Lizzy. My dad loved like the sort of like post Woodstock kind of like Laurel Canyon folks and like Crosby, Stills and Nash, like Joni Mitchell, like Bob Dylan, stuff like that. I remember listening to like the band The Weight and like hearing like David Bowie in this like knocked up really like burgundy Fiat Punto. So my dad was like really, it was like my dad really, do you know what I mean? My dad used to introduce some good music. Like my dad used to bring us for coffee and donuts as kids, and I would be like, I was such a little hipster when I was like 10. Do you know what I mean? Like other kids, as I say, would listen to crap music, and like I'd have a super milky latte, listening to the Bends like nobody gets me. Do you know what I mean? So like it kind of started. My dad really like encouraged creativity. Like he bought us my first drum kit. Before, my dad was a printer, and like to print newspapers, like you need really like thick. It's like industrial ink that comes in like barrels. So my dad noticed I was always tapping. I was always getting into trouble in school for tapping. Like one time my dad was at a meeting with a teacher, and the teacher's like, you know, Mr. Walsh, you know, Evan, he taps too much. And my dad's like, does he? And he looked out the window, and I'm like, and my dad's like, Jesus Christ, okay. So my dad used to get like these drums from his job, and I used to like bang on them.
That's awesome.
And then like, you know, he got me my first drum kit for Christmas that Santa got. Shouts out to Santa. Just started from there. Pretty difficult to sort of play drums because I grew up in sort of like a real like, you know, closely knit like working class like estate in Dublin. So the neighbours weren't happy. It was mad. I had one neighbour beside me that was really cool with it. He was like he was like an old hippie that taught guitar. He was like, kids are playing music, man, that's cool. And then the other guy, I think he was like in the army or something, he was like, stop.
Complete opposite.
My dad would always encourage it. Like my dad would always, you know, like I got grounded once, and I wrote a poem about how much I hated being grounded, and he was like, you're not grounded anymore. So it's like, cool.
That's awesome.
But then we had to move. I saw my drum kit, because we didn't have room for the drum kit. And my dad's friend, who we were living close to, Eamon Dunn, who was like a really well-known musician, who was a big sort of help in me learning my instrument, learning guitar and stuff growing up. Really well known in the Midlands of Ireland. I just started like learning it around the same time when I figured out I couldn't play drums as much as I wanted to. My brother started playing guitar.
Okay.
So I would like just look at my brother playing guitar. His first song that I learned was like Green Day, Time of Your Life. So I just look at him
Love that band.
and I noticed, I was like, right, if I just move these two fingers, I might be able to. So I just kind of went from there. My brother sort of taught me a few bits, and yeah, it sort of just went from there really. Then I was just sort of like playing. Then when I was like 16, I got my heart broke for the first time.
Okay, yeah.
So then I realised, then I started writing all these like really whack love songs. It was mad. The first band I ever loved was Blink-182.
Yeah.
So it was mad. Like I was this kid from like this working class estate in Dublin, like sounding like I'm from Southern California. So I'd be like long Mark, like sound like Tom the Drum in my head, and it just didn't work. Do you know what I mean? So eventually you find your sound, but that was like the early sort of like that's what kind of came to be. And later on I started like gigging properly, and that was definitely a learning curve,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I got booed off stage once. I got very spoiled for gigs because my first proper gig was this woman called Evan Pearl, who was like this award-winning songwriter. She seen me play when she came to visit my school, and she was like, I need a support act for like this tour I'm doing. So like my first proper gig were in these like proper big auditoriums with like dressing rooms and stuff like that. Yeah, so, and then like after that, as I said, Eamon Dunn, who I mentioned earlier, after that he was like, there was a pub in the Midlands town where my dad moved to called Lethian, and my dad was like, Eamon needs someone to play, and I was like, yeah, I can do that, like I'm supporting Luan Carroll. And you sort of realise that that was my first lesson in how different audiences are, because playing in these big auditoriums, people came to see music.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And came to see original music. And I sort of got up in this pub on like a Thursday night, and I was playing some of my own stuff, and some pissed old twat walks up and was just like, he's like, play something we all know. I just got booed off stage. I didn't play in a pub for about 2 years after that. I was devastated. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. We learn, we move.
Yeah, for sure. To start in that like in an environment where you've got like this audience in front of you to go to something where
literally lights on the mirror. Do you know what I mean?
Well,
some grotty little Midlands pub. Do you know what I mean?
So
I believe it's had a refurb since then.
Maybe they have a
Evan Walsh was here. Yeah.
So when did busking come into the picture?
Busking came in. I started taking busking seriously because I sort of later on in life, for me, sort of late teens, early 20s, I sort of I was making like really just not positive decisions in my life. I ended up being homeless for a while. So basically, like to be homeless in Dublin, it's either like sleep in the street, or you can sleep in these like kind of really dangerous like kind of government controlled like hostels, which is like there's a lot of drug. My dad's a social worker now, and like there's sort of like a lot of like it's like a lot of violence and drugs, and I was terrified. Like I was like, I don't want to sleep in those places. You know what I mean? So what I would do is I was kind of busking for like a couple of years prior to that, but then I was like, right, I kind of started training as like a job. So I was like, right, I used to like busk. And there was like this hostel I used to stay. It was like a backpackers hostel. It was really cheap. Yeah. And it was a lot like safer and cleaner and nicer than these places. So what I'd do was like, it was like 10 quid a night there. So I'd go out busking, make like 10, 20, 30 quid. I was like, right, that's 3 nights sorted. Busk. Busk in the afternoons, have me lunch, busk in the evenings. And through that I met a guy called Colin Gavin, who's a pretty like, he's done very well for himself since. He's like a pretty prominent act in Dublin at the minute. Through him I joined his band, and like by busking then I kind of got my act together, and I got like a place to live, and then I sort of realised busking was like, because in Dublin busking is such a huge culture. Where I grew up, where all my family grew up in Dublin, was a place called Charlemont Street, and if you go down one road you have Grafton Street, which is like where all the big acts in Dublin all start. Like U2 started busking there, like like Glenn Hansard, Mick Christopher, Gabrielle and Rodriguez, I believe, used to busk in Dublin at that time and stuff. And then, so that was like a really big mecca of music that I kind of grew up around. And then, if you go down another road, you've Camden Street and Wexford Street, where you have like Whelan's, which is where like all the big acts in Dublin went through. You could go into a pub on Camden Street or Wexford Street, you could have Morrissey drinking there, you could have Noel Gallagher drinking there, you could have Bono drinking there, you could have like, Glenn Hansard, a week before he won his Oscar, was drinking in our family local, and my nana told him to stop singing because he didn't know any Doris Day. Do you know what I mean? So like it was a real sort of like, back then it was a real sort of melting pot of like actors and writers and kind of also like a working class unpretentious community that I think a lot of these people liked You know, because people, I think a lot of artists and writers, I don't think they like to be in those posh environments. Do you know what I mean? I think they like that sort of laid back, especially Dublin. Dublin has such a laid back. I mean, you could be an Oscar-winning director. Dublin we don't have a celebrity culture, so it's very like.
You're going to be made a deal
So
of.
so I kind of started busking on then, and then I sort of realised, you know, I sort of became very ingrained in that sort of busking culture, and like, you know what I mean, Colin, we sort of done quite well. Like, I'd been invited into radio once or twice. A few people heard a song I released a couple of years ago called Space and Stars, and that had like that out in like Limerick. It was called Spin Southwest. They sort of brought me out, and I sort of became really just like good. And after I left Shiloh Palace, I got involved with another really kind of prominent band called Gypsy Rebel, which were pretty big at the time, and they thought they needed a second guitarist. They didn't. Do you know what I mean? So I was only with them for like 4 gigs, but after that I was kind of pretty bored of Dublin, and I was sort of like, again, I was kind of back to like sleeping on couches and stuff, and I was like, do you know what, I kind of feel like I had a friend of mine who lived over here, and he's like, Brighton's a really good place. It seemed to really look after drunks and musicians, and like I was very much both at the time. Do you know what I mean? So I came over here with like 280 quid in my arse pocket. Spent that my first weekend on the piss, but you know, met a group of lads, got together, met this group of lads. They kind of, again, I had the same principle that I'd done in Dublin. I came over here, I found like a cheap hostel, bussed to get enough for a price in a hostel. As long as I had a roof over my head, like everything else was like, do you know what I mean? I had enough for a few pints after that. Great. So then I met a couple of lads. The first place I stayed in Dublin, or the first place I stayed in Brighton, was like, it was like a student house. It was like a washroom. It was like a windowless basement washroom that had like a broken washer and a broken dryer in it that used to flood. So like I used to wake up in like an inch of water. So I used to dream I was on a pirate ship. Do you know what I mean? It was like almost like having a water bed. But it's been great, you know. Busking has really opened a lot of doors for me, both in Dublin and both over here. Like, you know, I'm quite. I'm doing music full time now, and I'm playing like a lot of really kind of reputable, good venues. Like I'm back playing like Black Line a bit now. You know, I played like the Mez, like the North Lane, like I play Fiddler's Elbow regularly. Molly Malone's when it was open, that's hopefully open soon again. And I've just met a lot of great people, I've met like a lot of good friends, and it's just all been through music and busking and stuff. So, and it's like, it's kept the roof over my head, it's kept food in my belly. Do you know what I mean? It's like music has really sort of fed and clothed and sheltered me for a long time.
That is
so
incredible stuff. Very inspirational as well.
Yeah, I don't know about that, mate.
It really is. So you now create the open mic at the Fiddler's Elbow.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
That's like my pride and joy. So the first weekend I came to, one of the reasons I spent the 280 quid I came over to Brighton with. I came over to Brighton, and I met a guy called Mike Newsham who was playing in the Duck. I believe it's called the Duck. It's on Kemp Town. It's around the corner. And he got booked me for a gig on the Sunday, and I sort of went into the Fiddler's Elbow because it was like, my dad always said to me, whenever you go to a new city, just go to an Irish pub because it's a good place to find work and meet people. Do you know what I mean? Because Irish really look after each other, you know. So I went in, was chatting to one of the girls. She was like, a friend of ours runs an open mic night, you should come down. And I was like, obviously I had nothing else to do, so I was like, you know, my whole thing was like, you know, make friends. Like, if you make friends, then they can help you find work. And I was just like, so I basically walked into the Fiddler's Elbow, and like, my mate Ollie, he was like one of my best mates now, and my mate Benny, they were on stage, and they were doing this really closely harmonised version of I forget the name of the artist, like, you know, Mercedes, oh Lord, won't you buy me? Yeah. They were doing like an a cappella version of these really close harmonies, and I love harmonies because obviously my dad loves, like, you know, Joni Mitchell and, like, you know, Crosby, Stills and Nash and stuff like that. So I walked in, and I feel really bad for them because I really imposed myself on their life. I walked in and they were just doing this beautiful, like, closely harmonised, and Benny has this really lovely falsetto, and Ollie has this beautiful, really gravelly, smoky, it's kind of like rocks marinated in whiskey, do you know what I mean? It's really beautiful, like, smoky, kind of husky voice, and they really compliment. They were like best friends since they were like 9 or 10, so they really compliment each other like so well. And I remember like hearing them play, and I was like, oh, it was like seeing colour for the first time. It was like, my God, it was like, and I got chatting to Ollie and Benny, and like we just became really good friends. I kind of went up. The first song I done was by an Irish folk singer called Damien Dempsey called Factories. That was the first song that I did, and they were quite taken back by it. They were like, that was quite good. Like, and we kind of started talking, and we just became really close friends. And I sort of realised that the open mic was like this kind of community of like, you know, musicians that came down, which I really thought was great, because one of the things I hated about Dublin was how cliquey the music scene was. Mm-hmm. You know, Dublin has a great music scene. The only people that know about it are the people that are in it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? There's no like, people don't stumble onto it. It's like, it's all these bands who are friends with each other, and you know, they all work in Topshop together, and it's all just like, do you know what I mean? So I like the fact that was very unpretentious and very like, you know, community, and like they made me feel very welcome. I didn't know anyone, but they made me feel very welcome.
Yeah.
So they sort of left, and another couple took it over. The very brilliant Ed Mann and Tara Vels took it over for a stint. But then it got under new management, and I had said to the new manager, Liam O'Brien, who was like being just the most incredible. He worked at Chalk, and he has this very sort of, you know, why not attitude. He's very open to any suggestions I brought, and I think it's because of him. But you know, really, it's because of him listening to what I kind of wanted to do tonight. He's been like, yeah, no problem. Yeah, he's always very like, yeah, like let's do it. That's if we can do it, let's do it. He's very like, massive shouts out to him. He's been a huge help. But I basically wanted to take the good parts from both Ed and Tara's like night, and like, you know, Ollie and Benny's, and I kind of wanted to make it a bit more. Do you know what I mean? I really felt like the night could be something really special. So I basically set out to be. It's like a safe environment for musicians. Like, what's great about the night now is that we have like a lot of young kids that come down who are like new to Brighton, and it's like where to go, the open mic, like. You know, I've had kids that have been like sat by themselves, and I'm just like, oh, why don't you go over to that table? We've like a really young, hungry, like creatively ambitious crowd, like, do you know what I mean? And as well as that, you know, they sort of come down and everybody makes friends, and it's like a community, like everyone. Like, I dropped in to Fids the other day, and I seen there was like these two different groups of guys that I knew, and they're all sat at a table together having drinks on like a Thursday. I was like, oh, they're mates now, like that's cool. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, so I'm just like, because I love that, because like there's nothing worse than being new in a new city and not knowing anyone.
Yeah.
So I kind of like that aspect of it, where it's like, you know, it's like friendship and like community, but it's also a safe space where musicians can come down and try out a new song. It doesn't matter if, because we have guys that have come down. We have like Sam Tompkins, I believe his name is, who he's signed to Island Records, like, and now he's come down and done a few sets, but he's gotten the same level of respect and treatment as, say, you know, a kid who's just starting out. You know, we have the very talented Brown, we have like the big push that come down, Goran Kendall, Rolling Remain. You know, we have the Sex Wigs that play, like they're like a really coming up, you know, new up and coming act that are in Brighton at the minute. Do you know what I mean? They get treated the same as the guy who's never played before. Do you know what I mean? So I kind of feel that has a real that's what brings it. So important. I really think it is. Do you know what I mean? So for me, I kind of set out to make sure it's a safe space. It's like a creatively welcoming environment. Do you know what I mean? Like, but as well as that, I kind of I'm trying to make the night a bit more of, not to sound anyway like pretentious or like grandiose, but I would like to have some sort of cultural relevance to the city. I want people to think Sunday nights, open mic Fiddler's Elbow, where it's not just like an open mic where it's some guy in a battered guitar singing Creep by Radiohead. By the way, don't ever sing Creep at an open mic, man. Like, just don't do it. Oh my God, the song, just don't do it. Like, I cannot. Unless you know you can sing Radiohead, don't sing Radiohead. Do you know what I mean? Like, I sing the occasional Radiohead song, and even sometimes I'm like, should I? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just, don't sing Creep. But yeah, so it's just turned out really well. The staff there are great. We've had very, very few. Unfortunately, sometimes with open mics, they can just attract like mad people. We've been really good. We have a really great. Awesome. It's like we have a great management team at the Fiddler's Elbow. We have great musicians that come down. I mean, I've never went to an open mic where, I mean, we start at like 8 o'clock. I mean, people are down from like 6:30, 7 o'clock. Really? I mean, it's been to the point where we go on till 1 a.m. It's been to a point where the list by 10 o'clock, it's like we've no room. We can't put any more people on. So that's a really good aim for. So we have a drum kit as well. So if anybody's watching, you know, if anybody wants to come down, try out some music at the Fiddler's Elbow, it's every Sunday from 8 o'clock, 11 Boyce Street. It really is like the only place to be on a Sunday. So yeah, I mean, it's like my pride and joy. It's my baby. It's like we've through the open mic, me and Liam and the team at Fiddler's Elbow are doing some really exciting stuff coming up.
It's really cool.
Yeah, it's great, man. We have
really,
a lot of
cool.
we have a lot of exciting stuff coming up during the summer and stuff. So definitely give them a follow on Instagram or Facebook. Like there's always like something new coming up. So it's like what I like about it is like you wouldn't think. Like Friday, Saturday, it's just full of plastic paddies talking about how much they miss batch loaf and white pudding. Do you know what I mean? And Barry's tea bags. Do you know what I mean? But other days of the week, I mean, it's great. It's an Irish pub, yeah, but it's really sort of like it's. I think it's like one of the most prominent like musical hubs in the city. Do you know what I mean? Because you sort of go in there, and people that drink there on a Sunday or like a Thursday or Monday, it's all musicians, man. It's all musicians, and you know, the Irish have a Friday and Saturday. God bless them. Do you know what I mean? Shouts out to all the boys. But yeah, it's just become a sort of kind of musical kind of hub and creative kind of hub in Brighton, and I'm quite proud that I've had a part in that, you know.
Yeah, I think it's really important.
We'll hopefully get you down.
I will definitely be coming.
Nice
Sorry,
one.
I mean, you've sold it.
Yeah.
100%. And I think to have a night in a place that's already got this kind of music, art, culture, but like you say, the thing with that is this city it's a community, but when you're new to a community, like where do you start?
It's so hard. It's so daunting as well. Just being on the outside looking in, it's very like you feel like you're almost in high school again. You're like, oh, I want to kind of sit with the cool kids. Do you know what I mean? But there are no cool kids, man. It's just like, you know, what's cool is being yourself.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Couldn't have said it better.
But it is, man. It's like go in, like don't be going in just being like, yo, I've played this gig and that thing. Just come in and just be cool and just be humble. I was talking to a friend of mine, Richie, about this the other day. He scores films.
Oh wow.
Do you know what I mean? And we're talking about how
nice.
It's such like, because what I do function work now, and like I play in a lot of big venues in Brighton. Like every weekend, so
cool.
So like, you know, like I play like, you know, Casablanca's, like, you know, last night I was playing Seven Stars. I'm in like the Inn on the Square. I always get that mixed. I always say the Square and the Inn. The Inn on the Square, just by Churchill Square. I'm playing there tonight.
Cool.
Fiddler's Elbow on Sunday. I play like, you know, other venues around Brighton, but it's so competitive. Do you know what I mean? And it's so hard to sort of, because you have to sell yourself, but you don't want to sound arrogant.
Yeah.
And you know, it's like it's
a hard balance.
It's like your commodity is your talent, but you can't so a lot of musicians kind of come in, they're kind of insecurities, and especially as you're saying, trying to get into a community of musicians where, you know, your sort of insecurity sort of overlaps with your sense of your sort of common sense. So you sort of think like, right, these are like good music. I want to hang out with these musicians. I'm going to go in and just be like, yo, I do this and I do that, and it's like, that's cool, man. Just you know what I mean.
Be yourself.
Just wind the neck in a few, like just be yourself, man. Just like I mean, I know it sounds so after school special, man. Do you know what I mean? It sounds so like. Yeah, it sounds like something like a guidance counsellor would say, like, do you know what I mean? Just like but just be who you want to be. I mean, that's what's the great thing about Brighton. You know, you can come to this city and you can be whatever you want to be, and people as long as you're not hurting other people or like insulting other people, just do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've literally seen these guys once outside a pub, and one of them was in like full leather, like the chaps and like the biker gear and the biker hat, and he was just having a smoke, and he just had a leash. And there was this fully grown man in a gimp suit, just like sat down beside him, and I was like, those two are hurting nobody. God bless. Do you know what I mean? Like let them be whatever they want to do, man.
Welcome to Brighton.
That's Brighton, man. Just do whatever you want to do. As long as you're not being a dick, just do whatever you want to do, man. Do you know what I mean?
Open.
Yeah.
I've got a question for you that you can take as deep as you want, or you can be as literal as you want. But what is music to you?
I don't know, man. It's a loaded question, isn't it? It's like when people say, like, so, you know, what kind of music do you do? It's very, like...
Yeah.
It's very... How do you answer? It's like, you know, it's post-apocalyptic, jazz, funk, fusion. I mean, music's everything to me. I mean, music's like, you know, the biggest part. I mean, I've met... You know, music has fed me. Music has clothed me. Music has put a roof over my head. Music is... You know, I met my girlfriend through music, you know, because we both had the same taste in music. There was like a sort of punk, emo night on. We met there. You know, I met my best friend in the world. You know, my best friends in the world, like Max and Paul, you know, we first met through our love of music and talking about music. Going to see my friend Max perform at his band Operation Kino, that's some of the happiest memories of my life. You know, being in the car with my dad on the way to school, listening to, you know, Street Spirit by Radiohead with a milky coffee, pretending I knew what sadness was. That's, you know, hearing Bob Dylan, The Hurricane, and my dad's Fiat Punto, like, it's one of the happiest memories of my life. When I had sort of, not to get too deep, but we had a bit of issues growing up, parent-wise. You know, I had one of my parents was like an addict, and when we got away from that situation with my dad, we listened to Fool's Gold, Lemon Tree, and that's one of the happiest memories of my life. Do you know what I mean? So a lot of my happiest memories of my life are through music. A lot of the most important people in my life are a result of music. So it's like, not to get too deep, but it's everything to me. Like, so yeah.
That is a great answer. Honestly, so good.
It's not rehearsed.
That's so good. So, as a busker here in Brighton, do you think there's anything that the council could maybe do to help us out? Do you think they do a good job? Do you think
it's an interesting question? I'm not really sure. I've thought about this. I've had people asking that before. I don't. You know, I'm very easy. I kind of started busking in Dublin, where there's a massive heroin and alcohol problem in Dublin. So, you know, I've been used to being like robbed and threatened to be stabbed and stuff.
Wow.
There was this fella who used to always threaten to stab me, but it never occurred to him to bring a knife. Honestly, his whole thing, he used to say to me every time, he was like, I'm going to go home and get a knife and come back and stay. He never did. He must have forgot. I mean, you know, searching about heroin causes memory loss. Like, I always meant to stab that busker. Do you know what I mean?
He's still there.
He's still there. He's waiting for me now. Like, where? Do you know what I mean? So, like, you know, for me, like, I'm just very, you know, I'm very happy with Brighton in terms of a council.
That's
you know, cool. I don't really think there is much they can do. I mean, I think there's quite a strong police presence at night, and I very rarely gotten any hassle from, like, say, like, you know, like street people, or I've never been. I think the only sort of, you know, maybe I really can't think of it. I think the council are quite good. I think the council are quite, because, you know, Brighton is quite an artistic town. It's quite, you know, it's you know, what they why would they sort of stop buskers? I mean, it's good for tourism in a way. It's good for, you know, it's good for the economy. Because think about it, you have people that come down. You know, musicians never have money, so it's like, right, you know, people come down from, like, you know, say if people are coming from, like, you know, I don't know, Bournemouth or Portsmouth or Southampton, or they're coming down for the day, and there's not really necessarily much busking there. I don't know, I've never been. If anyone in Portsmouth or Southampton is offended, I do apologise. Don't cancel me. But, you know, it's kind of good for the city. Like, I mean, there's nothing better than, you know, a sunny day and you're walking along, enjoying the sights and stuff, and then you sort of look around the corner and it's like the Big Push are playing, and it's like a free concert, and it just adds such a, it adds such a, you know, splash of colour to the city. Do you know what I mean? Or, you know, you sort of walk down outside, you know, Churchill Square, and you see, like, these, you know, these street performers playing, be it, like, you know, not even just like musicians, like if I've seen, like, you know, juggling acts and like dance troupes and stuff, I really feel it adds to, like, the character of a city. And, like, even when you walk down Grafton Street in Dublin, it really adds to the experience of Dublin, of, like, buskers and stuff. Do you know what I mean? I really feel, I don't think the council, I don't think they're not doing something, but they're not doing something. I think they're just leaving us to it. I think, because, like, why, you know, we're not hurting anyone. Do you know what I mean? Like, occasionally you'll sort of busk some places where it's someone's apartment. Do you know what I mean? But I mean, people are, you know, if you come down and say, sorry mate, like, I live up there, I've been to that, I say, cool, I'll go somewhere else. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to be like, you know, screw you, man, this is my art. You know, it's like, cool, I'll just move out around the corner. Like, that's awesome. It's no problem. So Brighton Council are always cool. I mean, Brighton's cool, do you know what I mean? If they could lower council tax, that would be great. Do you know what I mean? That would be a real stream.
For sure.
So I mean, there should be like a musician discount on council tax. We can't afford it. Do you have any idea how much strings cost? You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
Do you know what I mean?
What would you say to somebody who's starting out as a musician or a busker? What would your advice be? I'd say
try your best to just the sooner you grow a thick skin, the better. If you're going busking, try like a lot of kids now, like they go busking. It's all they sort of use amplifiers, and I use amplifiers now. I've only used it like the last year. The problem with amplifiers is I don't really think it does much for vocal growth. If you're sat in the street, I used to sit in I used to start on Grafton Street, which is one of the busiest streets in Dublin commercially. You know, so when I was like, I don't think anybody can hear me. I'm not making enough money. I don't think anybody can hear me. I'll have to change the key of this song, so I'll have to. And I used to hurt. I used to lose my voice every couple of months because I was screaming, just trying to get people to hear me, and it worked. And now I can hit, like, it just grows your vocal cords. Yeah. Remember I read an interview with Glenn Hansard once, and he said, you know, go out with a guitar hung over and see the difference it makes in your voice. Do you know what I mean? You know, and I sort of had to busk when I needed it, because like, if I don't go busking today, I can't get the price of a hostel, or I can't get dinner tonight. So it was like, I need to get out there.
Necessity.
And you know, I use an amplifier now because I'm like, I got a bit of I got a bit of money last year. I got like 300 quid from like an inheritance thing, and I was like, you know what, I kind of like invest in myself, and you know, I made that money back in like I made it back in a weekend busking. Do you know what I mean? So it was good, but you know, I would say to young performers, just try to get out there with a guitar. Don't just be reliant, because like you'll never grow vocally. You want your voice. If you know, look at a song that you can't sing and aim toward that. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I didn't get any vocal lessons. I didn't get any guitar lessons. I didn't get any drum lessons. I was very much like, just go out and just try it. Yeah. Just like stand on a street corner. It's humiliating. It is. It's embarrassing. I just kind of stood there. There's a certain safety of a microphone and do you know what I mean? But I guarantee it, if you walk out there with just a guitar and just your voice and just a handful of songs, I guarantee you'll be able to play any venue in the world. Because if you can walk into a busy street and people walking past you and ignoring you, and you're not getting any money, and you're still sticking with it, and you still stick with it, and you stick with it, and you stick with it, you'll be able to play any venue in the world, I guarantee you. Like, if somebody turned around to me tomorrow and was like, I play Grafton Street, and like, man, just there with a guitar, you feel so small. I'm 6'2", and I felt like I was sort of like, oh, you know, can people hear me? And then you get confidence, and then that comes with the thick skin, and then you're gonna get hecklers. The best way to deal with a heckler is just humiliating them. Don't engage with them on a sort of, you know, this is my art, man. Just embarrass them. The best way, it's like people say, if you punch a drunk person, they're not gonna feel it, but if you slap them, it's the sharpness of the slap. Just humiliate them. Just do your best to embarrass them. Because hecklers always think that the crowd is laughing with them. You want the crowd to laugh at them. Do you know what I mean? I've had hecklers that like, I've just made an absolute twat of them. And like the bar staff are like, okay mate, time to leave. I'm like, no, leave them there. I'm having a great time. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So that's where the thick skin comes from. And then when you get to a certain point, you feel like you have a good repertoire of songs, and you know, you play gigs and stuff like that, you know, through that busking, by not having the safety of that microphone and by really having to push yourself, you can play anywhere. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? You can play anywhere.
It's like the stripped back version means that you can do
absolutely
the full version.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, you can just... It really is like, you know, it was one of the best things I ever experienced. Because when you get to that point where you crack it and you nail it and you find a good spot and you're playing good people and you're getting money in your case, like, there's no better feeling in the world, man. Because you feel like you've earned it, you know? Yeah. So definitely... I mean, they're really good tools. Like the Roland Street Cubes are great tools to use. I use them. They're great. They're really solid. I mean, for what you're paying, they're expensive, but they are worth it. You'll get your money back. I mean, I can play certain venues in Brighton with a small pub. I can play like, but you just go out there, just like learn a bit of humility before you start. You know, just try earn a bit of humility, thick skin. You know. Try not to jump straight into just like a bit of humility, a bit of thick skin, and learn how to engage with people. That's one of the most important things I learned, you know, because sometimes a crowd, they want to like you, and if crowds can pick up when you're nervous. So just engage with people. Don't be like, okay, like this next song is Creep by Radiohead. Do you know what I mean? Just be like, hey, how's everyone's night going? Are you guys having a good night? Like, where are you from? Like, blah, blah, blah. Do you know what I mean? Just learn how to be very conversational in your performance.
Captivating.
Like captivating, yeah, make people listen to you, do you know what I mean?
Really good.
Because people aren't going to be listening to you if you're just like, okay, this next song is Green Day, Time of Your Life. Just be like, you know, I'll go and make a joke about it. Like, I'm sort of like, you know, I'll sort of go, this is a song that was made very famous. This is a song that I wrote that was made very famous by Queens of the Stone Age. Do you know what I mean? Have fun with it. Yeah, just like make a performance.
Sort of.
But like the thing is, when you start playing in venues, you know, your job is to make the pub money. Like your fee is based on what the bar makes.
Yeah.
I mean, so I charge people anywhere from 150 to like 300 quid a gig, depending on where it is. Do you know what I mean? And I genuinely feel bad if I have a gig and it's like empty and people aren't enjoying themselves, and I feel like I'll take the money, but I feel like I'm just like, you know, I feel much more satisfied when I have a gig and it's like people are staying in the venue and they're buying drinks and they're making the pub money, because then you're sort of, I've earned that money, like, so I'm not robbing this place.
Sure.
So I'd say to young performers, like, you know, definitely like engage with the audience and try engage with every audience, because I think a lot of young performers now, they bring their friends down, which is a false economy, because they bring their friends down and their friends will come down, they'll buy 1 or 2 drinks, then their friends will come to another gig, they're not going to come to the third.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It's not sustainable.
My best friends, who I mentioned, like, you know, Ollie, Benny, Max, Pot, like the guys I mentioned earlier on, they rarely come to my gigs because they've seen 8 years ago. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've been in a band with Max, I've been in a band with Benny. Do you know what I mean? Like, they know what I'm going to sing, so they're not going to come. So when I sort of realised, like, right, it's not up to me to bring people, I need to get people to stay, and I need them to be buying drinks and staying for the duration. And that's where, and if the pub makes money, they're going to get you back again. So if you make, it's a two-way street. It's like, if the pub makes money, you make money. It's as simple as that. Do you know what I mean? So try to be a bit business-minded about it.
That's so good.
Do you know what I mean?
So many lessons in that.
Yeah.
You're going to have to keep watching that over and over.
TED Talk.
Just to like round it up, what have you got coming up? Where can people find you?
Yeah, so I mean, every Sunday, Fiddler's Elbow, you can find me. I usually play with Sam Evans, who's like the drummer from Dits. We kind of do a bit of a jam night there, but it's also the open mic. I usually play around Brighton. If you follow me on Instagram, it's just Evan Walsh 750. It's usually on my story. I play 7 stars every month. I play O'Connor's out in Worthing most like once a month. I play Fiddler's Elbow most Thursdays. I play the Inn in the Square. I'm playing like Black Lion on the 18th of April. I play everywhere. I'm really just like, I'm like wherever pubs kind of book me, that's where I am. So, you know, I always check out my Facebook, my Instagram. I usually kind of promote my gigs and stuff. So I'm usually all around. But definitely, any young performers out there, anyone that wants to come down, play a set, everyone's more than welcome at the Fiddler's Elbow. Starts 8 o'clock every Sunday. Everyone's welcome. Come down, like musicians, comedians, magicians. If you have the recipe for like a knockout lentil soup you want to share, we'll give you the mic. It's no problem. So yeah,
epic,
nice one. Yeah. So thank you very much for having me, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you for watching the Busking Break here on the Brighton Beach Busking YouTube channel. If you haven't already, then please click subscribe, like this video, and hit the notifications bell so you know when videos have been posted. Go and check out our busking guest. All their links are in the description. I have been your host, August Radio Project. If you're a musician, creative, and you like challenges, or you need some tips and tricks, then go and check out my YouTube channel, also linked in the description. Thank you to Works for welcoming us to the Works Pier and believing in the project. If you're a creative looking for workspace in Brighton, contact Works through the details in the description. They offer co-working, craft space, sound studios, offices, meeting rooms, and more. Also, thank you to Mug Time for the wonderful mugs. You can find the link to their Amazon shop in the description below. And thank you to you for watching the Busking Break. And I'm sure I will see you in the next one. Thank you.